Exit the Lord Chamberlin, 50 years since the end of censorship. So, this is an interesting article. I think that, there's a lot of things to talk about in regards to how this could potentially be useful in class. And I think I definitely couldn't help but notice it's a religiously affiliated article. I don't know if I'm a terribly big fan of that, but we'll carry on. The first thing I wanted to talk about, I think, was I got a quote here. The so-called Hays Code of 1930 included stimulations about refraining from ridiculing any religion and from presenting ministers as quote-unquote comic characters or villains, while also handling the representation of religious ceremonies carefully and respectfully. If Hollywood could do it, why couldn't the West End? I think that's interesting because we don't usually think about the West End. I think as people who were born and raised in America, the concerns of the West End aren't really anything that come to mind. But it was interesting to me, the idea of refraining from ridiculing any religion, and from presenting ministers as comic characters or villains. I think that it's an interesting take. I'm not entirely sure if they need to be, because I'm really on the fence. Because I am the type of person who enjoys that kind of comedy sometimes if it's done properly. Like I definitely think I can recognize when it's over the top and a misrepresentation, but I definitely think that it can be used well and that it can be used comedically. Villains, in the West End, I can understand why they wouldn't want that, but in America, I could understand why people would want that. Another thing I wanted to address really quickly was the fact that 1968 Theaters Act received the Royal Assent. I think that's how you say that word. It abolished state censorship of theater in the UK, and I found that really fascinating because, I'm not entirely sure of the theater life that's going on across the pond, but I would like to think that there may be some royal influence in there, just because people in power tend to influence things where they can. But yeah, I think that effectively covers what I wanted to address in this article.